Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am I, episode number 92. And today I want to talk about consistency, right? So I feel like 92, that's pretty fucking consistent. 92 weeks in a row, right? Every Thursday. I mean, there's a few maybe early Friday mornings, but pretty much every Thursday. So basically, understanding that greatness does not happen in an instant. Now, it may be the culmination, everything, all the work that we do might culminate in an instant, but great things happen very little pieces over long periods of time. Patience, persistence, and faith. That is how it works. I'm working on a book right now, I'm working on a record, and all these things. I am so freaking impatient, it's ridiculous with it. I'm like, oh my God, I just want it to be there, but every day I just keep moving forward with it. Well, maybe not every day, but on a consistent basis, right? So knowing that I'm consistently going back to it, right? So it's moving into I talk about a lot of archetypal psychology. So it's moving into an understanding of consistency. It's kind of like when you ground down into the earth, you understand the steadiness and the stability of the earth. So understanding this, meditating on consistency. So you can use something like the sun, the sunrise and the sunset, right? Completely devoid of emotion, it doesn't matter. It's just always rising and always setting. It just constantly is going, right? And there's such an indefatigable energy in that because it's not drained by the emotions, right? Or the breath. I mean, we get into the consistency of the breath. Last week in class, I was talking about the consistency of the breath, meaning, the texture of the breath. But then this week I've been talking about the consistency of the breath, meaning how consistent the breath is, that the breath never stops. And again, without judgment, it doesn't matter, whether we're good people, bad people, sinners, or saints, the breath never stops. It is absolutely consistent, right? So it's moving into the archetypal psychology of understanding consistency. So, when I started writing the book, I started writing starting with 3 pages a day. I was struggling with doing 3 pages a day. And then somebody was like, 3 pages a day? Well, don't do 3 pages a day, do a freaking paragraph a day. And I was like, oh my God, it was so liberating because I had to recognize the consistency that I was trying to match was way beyond what I was ready and capable of doing at that time, right? But we slowly build it up. So with our physical yoga practice, if you want a handstand, everything is possible. Anything is possible. You just need to have patience, persistence, and faith. People want to get in shape, and what do? We stop, right? After we don't see results. It's a law of cause and effect. It's a karmic law of understanding. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? So we can get filled up with excuses very easily, right? Even though and a lot of them become reasons. That's when our belief systems really get in the way of shit, that we're just like, no, there's actually a valid reason why I can't do this. And that's up to you to figure out. This is your life that you want to live, right? So it's up to you to figure out what is limiting you, what is a limiting belief that you have. And because also you don't want to do something until you destroy yourself, but it's a case-by-case scenario. And when you really connect into that space of consistency within yourself, that divine principle that I talk about of the self, right? So when you connect down into that space of stability and strength and consistency within yourself that is outside of the emotions, outside of the physical body, and you work consistently, not with just understanding the concept, I am not my body, I am not my mind, but over time when you understand, I am not my body, I am not my mind, when you repeat that consistently and understand that you are something, this higher power, this thing that is outside of you, of what you know yourself to be, outside of what you know yourself to be, but is actually who you actually are, right? Then from that place of consistency, that is an understanding and a modality of consistency. And moving into that archetypal place where there is absolute consistency. Then how many times can I say consistency? I'm going to say it on a consistent basis. So then the body and the mind just take action, right? One of the best examples is waking up. So this is actually a great segue. Waking up. What is the very first thing that we do when we wake up in the morning? Now, people say, somebody in class the other day said, I go get coffee. I'm like, no, that's the first thing we do. So you're right. Or that's the first action that the body takes. But from the moment that we come into consciousness, the moment that we are aware that we come into this waking state, right? And in the philosophy, there are three states. There's deep sleep, there's dream sleep, and there's awake. And then ultimately we're moving towards is Turiya, which is the fourth state, right? The fourth dimension of living, if you will. Whatever modality you want to use, they all say the same thing. It's the fourth state outside of all three of the gunas. It's the transcendental state, right? But, so, the first time we wake up into this waking world, right, it's the closest we're into that deep sleep where the mind is not dreaming, it's not moving, and we're in that complete steadiness. And what is the first thing that we think of? What is it? Because that is an action, right? So I know for myself, the first thing that I do, as soon as I'm aware that I am aware, I immediately go into a prayer. God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondages of self. Take away my difficulties, so that victory over them may bear witness to those that would help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May I do Thy will always. Thy will, which actually is, well, I'm not going to get into that too much, but because it's not my will. There actually is no will. It's moving to a space of without personal will and allowing it to flow. But that's aside. That's a whole nother video. So, but that's the prayer that I take, because prayer is an action. It is, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and prayer is a karma, right? So I'm directing my mind immediately into that space. As soon as I come into consciousness, the first thing I do is not start thinking about what I have to do in the day, or what bullshit I have to do, or how I don't feel like getting up, or blah, 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 or have to piss or anything. I immediately go into some kind of prayer. And I have books next to my bed that I consistently make sure that I immediately open that up into a space of the first thoughts, the first thing that I imbibe is some sort of message that is bringing me into a better state in my day. Right? And then I'm moving into meditation or pranayama and breath work and stuff like that. Right? So that is something that I have to do consistently. And this is something that we're like, why would I actually do this? When you actually start doing this sort of like morning routine and morning practice and take care of yourself on that kind of level with self-care, it will transform your life amazingly. And particularly when you do it on a consistent basis where you have the very first thing coming in. I mean, if you the very first thing you do is turn on a TV or any of this and imbibe all this, ingest all this poison and nonsense. It's just my opinions, right? But like, there's just so much nonsense that we can easily get into, and sometimes we put that on to distract ourselves from our own thoughts, right? And so that's why I immediately pick up a book that's going to set me off in the direction of taking a good direction for my day, right? Consistently. It is the consistency that we need to move towards. And on what basis? That way now, if you get into a consistent basis and know that, okay, I didn't do it today, and that's okay, then without guilt, we don't have to beat ourselves up because we know that we do it every day. Or if you start, that's why we have to start, like I said, with the three pages was too much, so I started with one paragraph a day, right? Well, kind of. I'm still fucking that up, but I'm working on it, right? So I'm working on my consistency. But getting into a space where it's not too much. If you want to do push-ups and sit-ups in the morning and at night, don't try to do 100. That's insane. Just do one on your knees. Do fucking what? Because you can do one. So start small. Start where it's so fucking easy that you just do one on your knees. And then you'll slowly build up. You'll be like, why am I only doing one? And you work up to 5, and you work up to 10, and then you're doing 20, and then you're cruising along. Right? So build up to it. Don't do something that is so unmanageable, because then we just get overwhelmed and we say, oh, I can't fucking do this. I'm like, well, I try to work out. So what do? You go to freaking some Orange Theory or some shit like that and work your ass off for like 3 weeks, and you can barely fucking hold your head up because you're kicking your ass so much. Or your vegan diet, you go completely vegan and stop it and like wean off of it. Work at it slowly, consistently, moving towards something. That greatness does not happen in an instant. Like I said, it's a culmination. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It is consistent work over time. And when more you work into that consistency within yourself, that space of the self, which is already that steady, complete, whole space, then the body and the mind actually just take action, and the work is rest. It's fucking crazy. But I'm telling you, when you tap into this deeper sense of energy, this deeper space inside of yourself, it will transform your life, and the work itself is rest, because you are at rest. Your body and your mind take action, and you are at fucking rest. You never actually do anything. It's fucking incredible. And in that space of consistency, that's how we make greatness happen over time. In the Keshe Lakin, I am you. You are me. Oh, I just want to throw in there too, another good example is like how, a stream can work through rocks, or maybe a river, right? How water can cut through stone over time, right? Even just like if it's not a rushing, raging river, it can actually cut through, but it takes tons of time. So we need patience, persistence, and faith. All right, bitches, I love you. Peace. Keep doing what you're doing. What? Too much?